Wrestling fans, are you ready? For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
And now, please welcome at this time your hosts, Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau. You're listening to the next era of wrestling radio. This is WrestleRant Radio.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WrestleRant Radio here today for Thursday, November 13th, 2025. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well. Contrary to the intro there, Mr. Marceau is actually not here today. He is still on assignment over in Louisville. I think he's flying back today, actually. His birthday's on Sunday. I'll be seeing him for his birthday in person on Sunday, but he's not here on WrestleRant Radio today. So I'm going to be flying solo, a little bit of a shorter show than usual. Do got to get going within the hour. So won't have enough time as we normally do to kind of go through the chat and everything else that we will be talking about today, which is quite a bit, actually. I'm still recovering from Raw on Monday night, being there live in Boston for the show. One of the best Raws all year. Very newsworthy, very eventful, very entertaining. We have a new Intercontinental Champion, and his name is John Cena. I did not do the meme on purpose. We also have new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions in the Kabuki Warriors. We found out more matches in the John Cena The Last Time Is Now tournament coming up next week. They will continue the tournament on Raw and SmackDown coming up on Friday as well. Some mystery names announced. We have a lot going on in the world of wrestling, actually. We have Blood and Guts last night. I did not catch it live. I caught it after the fact last night. Thought it was a very good show. Two very good Blood and Guts matches. More of the same as what we normally get from Blood and Guts. I don't think I'll probably be remembering or rewatching those matches at any point in the foreseeable future, if ever. But they were two pretty typical Blood and Guts matches. And we will also be talking about, to kick off today's show momentarily, my thoughts on the top 10 from the PWI top 25, or top 250 rather. I got to add a 0 to that. Top 250 for the women's PWI in 2025. So we'll just discuss the top 10. I know I got a lot of questions about that on Tuesday's hashtag AskGSM. This is basically hashtag AskGSM part 2 here today, as I will be flying solo. I did experiment with the idea of bringing on a co-host. I had a couple people that have wanted to come on the show for a while now, and I thought this would be the perfect week to do so in the absence of Mr. Marceau, none of whom could make it here today at this time. They were available a little bit later on today, and it was also very last minute as well. That was kind of my fault. But hopefully at some point we can get those faces here on the show down the road. For today, though, I will be flying solo, talking Raw, Blood and Guts, PWI top 250 for the women, specifically the top 10, and much more here on the show today. Thank you to those that are able to join us live. I appreciate it. We are live every single Thursday here on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/WrestleRant in video form as well as audio form. You can check out new episodes of the show in audio form every single Thursday on WrestleRant.com, WrestleRantRadio.com, and all major podcast platforms. Be sure to support our channel members as well. Shout out to them. Alexis, Miss Maud Matthews, Dylan, Giacomo, Mrs. Renee, DJ Swerve1 at Swerve1 on IG, Mr. Marceau himself on Twitter at RJ_Marceau. John Ritland right here on YouTube does great content at Real Honesty with John Ritland right here on YouTube, like I mentioned. Richie as well, also on YouTube at Red Planet Wrestling. And Average Grunt, follow him on Blue Sky at gruntwrestling.bluesky.social over on Blue Sky. More information on how to become a WrestleRant All Access Pass channel member down below $5 a month. Get you shout-outs at the beginning and end of every single live stream that we do here on the channel. Taunt billing on hashtag AskGSM and WrestleRant Radio. You also get badges and emojis and live chats, early and ad-free access to certain videos here on the channel. And that should soon include new interviews that have never been released before here on the channel. The Alexa Bliss one I just kind of put up outright the other day. Got a lot of chatter with Alexa Bliss's quote and comment about wanting to play Roxanne in the Goofy movie, if they were to do a live-action Goofy movie, which I don't ever foresee that happening. She wants to play Roxanne despite the fact that Roxanne's a teenager. So that got a lot of people chatting on Monday when that quote went viral over, thanks to Fightful on X and on social media. But anyway, more interviews should be dropping soon here on the channel, never before released, seen, or heard. I just have a lot going on, so there's a lot of delay in the uploading of some of this content, but at some point, if you are a channel member, you will get them first before anyone else and ad-free before they become public for the rest of the subscribers. At the very least, if you want to support the show, be sure to like this video if you are watching live or after the fact. I'll read your comments and questions momentarily, and be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications to be notified every single time we upload new content and every single time we go live here on the channel, typically Tuesdays and Thursdays around noon Eastern time for #AskGSM and WrestleRant Radio respectively. Last thing here, I will throw it up here on this screen. Bam! I'm pointing the right direction. That is the WrestleRant Halloween shirt designed by Alexis herself, available right now over at ProWrestlingTees.com/WrestleRant. We have a Halloween shirt. I know it's past Halloween, but it's still a great design. We have a Halloween shirt. We have a regular WrestleRant shirt, and at some point I'll have to pop up the Christmas shirt as well. We have a WrestleRant Christmas shirt that Alexis designed about a year ago. All available right now, right now on ProWrestlingTees.com/WrestleRant. And there should be a Black Friday deal, I'm sure. Maybe not now, but going up very soon. Not on my end, but rather on the website's end, ProWrestlingTees.com. So you can get shirts like this on a discount. I think 25% off, 10% off, 15% off, whatever the fuck it is. Probably coming up in a few short weeks as we get closer to Thanksgiving, which is rapidly approaching, I think in 2 weeks from today. And you can get a shirt like this, support the channel, and just get a great shirt. So more information on that also down below in the description box. Speaking of Thanksgiving, by the way, typically what we have done in the past for WrestleRant Radio, since we've been doing the show on Thursdays now for close to a decade, what I've typically done is record the show on, in the past, before this year, we would always record the show on Thursdays or Wednesdays anyway. And in the last few years with Mr. Marceau, we've done our pre-recording of WrestleRant Radio on Wednesday, and I would have it go up on Thursday. Now, since we've been doing the show live for the first time in well over a decade here on YouTube, I'm not sure what we're going to do. We will definitely not be live on Thanksgiving. I'm either going to pre-record the show with him on Wednesday, Mr. Marceau that is, and have it go up on Thursday and premiere it. We've done that before. I haven't done it in several months here on the channel, but that is a possibility. Either that or we go live on Wednesday or Friday. I don't think we would go live on Friday. More than likely, we would go live on Wednesday before Thanksgiving with our, I think that's going to be Survivor Series week in 2 weeks. So we'll probably have Survivor Series predictions, my thoughts in full gear. I might be at that show, so I would give an on-site report from that event as well if I'm there. But yeah, so I'm not exactly sure. Let me know what you guys think would work best, what you would want to see. I feel like Friday, a lot of people are off and busy doing other stuff anyway. Black Friday shopping, if people still do that, among other things. So we might just go live on the Wednesday before. I think if we were to record it on Wednesday and have it go live on Thursday, yeah, it's going up on a Thursday, but how many people are actually going to be watching on a Thursday when you're probably with your family and friends and all this other shit? So that's probably the plan as of right now. Nonetheless, I'll put up the chat here in a second. Appreciate Fernando joining us. He said, Buenos dias. He also asked my thoughts on the PWI Top 50 list, specifically the Top 10. I will get to that momentarily. I will give my thoughts on that in a few moments. I have the Top 10 here in front of me. Fernando said, what grade do I give the Blood and Guts matches from last night? I'd probably go B. I don't think they were the greatest Blood and Guts / WarGames matches I've ever seen. But they worked hard. I just feel like a lot of these matches, because we've seen so many of them in WWE and AEW specifically in the last 4 or 5 years, they really just kind of blend together for me. But I thought the overall show was very good, so I'd probably go B for the matches themselves. Am I feeling better? Yes, I'm feeling better. I'm still not 100%. There's a lot of shit going on today, tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'll probably be at Raw on Monday as well in New York City, so I'm just kind of run ragged right now. But I am feeling a little bit better than I was on Tuesday. I wasn't sick, but I'm just kind of still recovering from being at Raw on Monday and all the travel and all this other shit going on right now, and I'm just extremely busy. So I am feeling a little bit better. Thank you, Fernando, for asking. Noticed I've been doing quite a bit of traveling. Did you notice any issues with the airlines? Hope you don't get stuck anywhere. So thankfully, I have not been flying. Everywhere I've been traveling recently has all been driving. So I was at Raw in Boston. I'll be at Raw on Monday in New York City. I might be at Blood and Guts in Newark. Been a lot of other places in the last couple of weeks and months. I was in Salem, Mass on Halloween. We were in Springfield for Raw a few months ago. All of these places, though, I have driven to. They're all within driving distance. The last time I was on a plane was when we went to Universal for the Halloween Horror Nights back in September. I think that was either right before the government shutdown happened or right around the time that it started. So we thankfully, thank God, we're not affected by it. Mr. Marceau flew this week to go to Louisville, so I don't think he was affected. I feel like he would have told me he's flying out today. So I feel like if he was affected, he would have let me know. Thankfully, I have not been affected. And I think the shutdown's over or is about to end, so hopefully those issues go away soon. But I do feel for those that are affected. I feel for the wrestlers. I mean, they're traveling every fucking week. Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, pay-per-views, all this other sort of stuff. So they're probably affected more than most, and that sucks. Am I allowed to tell us how old Mr. Marceau is, or must we ask him ourselves next week? You can ask him yourselves next week. I made the joke a few days ago. He's not a day over 25, and he said that he wishes he was. So draw your own conclusions. But we're not that young, but we're not that old either. I'll leave it up to that. Blood and Guts was amazing last night, Lapdog said. I thought it was a very good show overall. I enjoyed it. Fernando said the Halloween shirt looks fabulous. Alexis knows what is awesome. She's awesome at what she does. I agree. She does an excellent job, and available right now over at ProWrestlingTees.com. He also said Black Friday is a menace. And does Raw have a post-show press conference? No, they don't. They don't even have them for pay-per-views anymore. They have post-shows for the PLEs in WWE, but they're not press conferences. They took that away. Blood and Guts I am primarily going to, if I'm able to go, I would be going for the press conference. Now, I haven't been to an AEW show in over a year, and that's not because they haven't wanted to. They just haven't really been close to where I am. They haven't really run a lot of Northeast shows within the last year, which is unfortunate. But if they are coming to Newark for Blood and Guts, if I am able to go, I am hoping to attend the post-show press conference, which I have not done for AEW in a few years. So they thankfully still do it. WWE does not. That's fine by me. I mean, it sucks they don't do it anymore, but on the bright side, it does get me out of the show sooner, so there is a positive to that anyway. But speaking of their PLEs, I do want to mention this. WWE made it official today. This was already being discussed. This was practically already official based on what was being reported. WWE is officially returning to Chicago for Elimination Chamber, the PLE coming up on February 28th. The final stop, I would imagine, on the road to WrestleMania. Now, Elimination Chamber last year was earlier. It was only a day earlier. Like last year, it was in March, but it was on March 1st. This is the exact same Saturday, just a day earlier in a different month. Royal Rumble, actually, the same thing happened, where last year Royal Rumble was on February 1st, which it's never been in February before prior to this year. But now I think it's on January 31st. So exact same Saturday, just a day earlier, just the way the calendar falls and whatnot. But it was the worst-kept secret that Elimination Chamber was going back to Chicago. Now, what that means, I think that could tell the tale of what CM Punk's road to WrestleMania might look like. I know he's the current World Heavyweight Champion. I don't think that should be the case. I don't think that necessarily needs to be the case going into WrestleMania. I like CM Punk as World Heavyweight Champion. It's only been fucking 2 weeks since he won the title. But I'm just saying that in the time that he's been champion, I don't really think we need to see him necessarily as the champion through WrestleMania. You got Logan Paul waiting in the wings right now. They will probably do that match, I would have to imagine. It's Saturday night's main event. Get that match over there. I know they'll be on opposite ends of the WarGames match at Survivor Series, but they're not going one-on-one at the event. You have a few other people that could challenge CM Punk, but honestly, I would have Punk drop the championship, and I wrote this in an article on Tuesday for Bleacher Report, but I would get CM Punk's title reign over by the Rumble, put the belt on Braun Breaker. I would not wait until WrestleMania to crown Braun Breaker as the new World Heavyweight Champion, and either have CM Punk win the Rumble that same night, or more likely, have him win Elimination Chamber in Chicago. I feel like that would make the most sense. You can give the Rumble win to either a Sami Zayn, who's kind of spinning his wheels right now. You could have Braun Breaker win it, but the issue with Braun Breaker winning the Rumble is that I think it would make more sense, honestly, for him to win the World Championship before then. He turned on Rollins over a month ago. They really haven't done a whole lot to capitalize on that since then. I know he'll be involved in the WarGames main event at Survivor Series, most likely. He'll be in WarGames. I'm just not sure if it's the main event, but most likely it will be. I would put the belt on him on the sooner side. Why wait? It's inevitable anyway, and I don't really think Punk and Breaker stands out to me as a WrestleMania-worthy match. Personally, I would have Breaker face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania and have Breaker beat Reigns to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, does that mean Roman Reigns wins the fucking Elimination Chamber, or rather the Royal Rumble match? It might. I don't really necessarily want to see that, but maybe. But that's what I would do. I would probably have Punk win Elimination Chamber in Chicago and then go on to face not Breaker at Mania for the World Heavyweight Championship, but rather the undisputed WWE Championship opposite of Cody Rhodes. To me, I feel like that's the match that makes the most sense. Fernando asked, should the women's blood and guts match have main evented? Yeah, I would have put that match on last. I feel like both matches were practically the same. I said that earlier. I'll talk more about blood and guts towards the end of today's episode, but they kind of blend together because, like I said, literally they blend together because there's so much blood, but like figuratively speaking, they're just so similar every year. There really isn't no differentiating between the two. But between the two blood and guts matches this year, I thought the women's match had more going for it because they've really been embroiled in this ongoing heated feud with within each other within the last 5, 6, 7, 8 months. I would have just had them close the show. The men's match was fine, and Darby Allin has been feuding with the Death Riders, but that feud died out a while ago. Kyle O'Reilly beating Jon Moxley was a big deal, but I feel like if there was any time to have the women go on last, it would have been last night. They didn't do it. But that's fine. Maybe they wanted to go off the air with a happy-go-lucky ending, with Kyle O'Reilly tapping out or forcing Jon Moxley to surrender. Whereas in the women's match, the heels went over. So I would have put the women on last personally. Fernando said, please, Rock, stay away from Elimination Chamber this year. I completely agree. Keep Rock away just in general, not even from Elimination Chamber. Mr. Marceau joining us right now. I'm not sure if he's home now or if he's still in Louisville, but he is chatting in here saying Ray versus Dominik being cut from Survivor Series is criminal. Yeah, if that appears to be the case, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with Ray and Dom. Ray came back last week on Raw. It looked like we were getting Ray and Dom at Survivor Series for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, Cena versus Dom was also rumored for that show. We ended up getting it early instead on Raw. Cena beat Dom for the title. Not necessarily a fan of that. I'll get into that momentarily when I review Raw for Monday. But then I was pitching the idea to Mr. Marceau over Twitter and a few other people, or over text rather. What if you have them face at Survivor Series, Ray and Dom, but for the AAA Mega Championship? Now, I thought they would do it at the AAA show. I think there's another AAA show coming up next month, and they probably will do that. But how the fuck do you not put Ray and Dom in the ring together at Survivor Series in San Diego, where both guys are from? I mean, I don't know what they're doing there. Maybe they end up on opposite ends of the WarGames match. I don't think so. I just feel like that wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense for Dom to be teaming with anyone. Why would he team with the Vision instead of the Judgment Day? And the Judgment Day is not in WarGames. So, I don't know. That to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But, if Ray and Dom is indeed not happening at Survivor Series, that's bullshit. I'm not going to jump the gun on that and assume that's not the case until we see what happens next week on Raw and how the Survivor Series card kind of shakes out. But I am also not a fan of that personally. Fernando said, CM Punk sells his soul to The Rock at this year's Elimination Chamber. Let's make it an annual tradition. If they were going to do that, this year would have been the year to do it. I would not have done it. I would rather they not do that again going forward. Fernando said, who would you say was the MVP for both Blood and Guts matches? Marina Shafir was impressive. Marina Shafir really bores me to fucking tears. She still does, even in the Death Riders. That group overall just bores me to tears. But I thought she did well in the match. Megan Bain in the women's match. Really, everyone had their time to shine. Sky Blue obviously loved being involved in the match. She's been waiting to get involved in Blood and Guts for a while now. For the men's match, Darby Allin did some dumb shit. It's a day that ends in a Y, so no surprise there. But Kyle O'Reilly winning for his team was cool. Mark Briscoe came in and did some, did some shit when he finally entered the match. So I guess really any of those people. And I agree, Fernando. Happy birthday to Mr. Marceau. If he is still here, happy birthday to RJ, which is coming up on Sunday. I'll be seeing him on Sunday. I look forward to that. But speaking of PLEs, we talk about Elimination Chamber. I wanted to mention this quote real quick. I saw this from, I think it was Mark Shapiro of TKO. They made the comment this week in an interview, and Fightful quickly followed up on it to make it clear exactly what he meant. But they made this very strange comment that going forward, like WrestlePalooza is not a Vince McMahon pay-per-view. They want to start moving away from the Vince McMahon-created PLEs. And I'm not really sure what the question was that necessitated this answer. It kind of came out of nowhere because no one is talking about like, oh, the pay-per-views are too Vince McMahon-esque or we're still in the Vince McMahon era. They really have moved on from a lot of the things that Vince McMahon kind of brought to light and was doing in WWE and whatever. I don't think the pay-per-view names are really much of an issue. And honestly, if they do change the pay-per-view names, I feel like that is exactly something that Vince McMahon would have done back in the day. Now, granted, Vince McMahon was not changing the pay-per-view names from an old regime. It was still his regime back in the 90s and the early 2000s. When he changed a lot of the pay-per-views in the late 2000s, early 2010s, that was when we got TLC, Elimination Chamber. We already had No Way Out, but they basically just called it Elimination Chamber, which is such a fucking lazy name. But that was when we got Hell in a Cell, Breaking Point, Bragging Rights. Literally almost every pay-per-view was new. They got away from No Mercy, Unforgiven, Armageddon, Judgment Day, Backlash. They got rid of almost all of them. And it didn't make a fucking difference. That was also around the time they ditched Survivor Series. We almost did not get Survivor Series until they actually brought it back in late 2010. 2009, I think they announced they were canceling it because of a disappointing buy rate, and thankfully they kept the concept, and Survivor Series has not gone away since. I don't really understand what pay-per-view names have to do with anything. I think it helps. I think as a nostalgic fan myself, I think having the Backlashes and the No Mercies, which is an NXT PLE now, and stuff like that is nice. WrestlePalooza, funnily enough, is not a Vince McMahon PLE name, but it's not even a fucking WWE PLE name. It's an ECW pay-per-view name from decades ago, and it sucks. And the pay-per-view itself this year was good, but it wasn't great. But the name itself sucks. I don't really think the name of the show makes much of a difference. It's nice to have for nostalgia reasons, but it doesn't really make me any more excited for the show if we have WrestlePalooza over fucking Unforgiven or something. We haven't had Unforgiven in like 17 years, but you understand my point. I don't really think that's where their focus should be. I think their focus should be not so much on the pay-per-view names and shit like that, but rather the creative on said shows that is causing people to complain. Why are the buy rates down? Why are people not signing up for ESPN Plus? Why is the attendance down? Why is the viewership down? Is it because of the name of the shows? No, it's because your creative is lacking, specifically SmackDown. I don't really think the pay-per-view names have much to do with anything. So, hopefully that was just a stupid comment they made. And when I said Fightful followed up on it, they had reported that the 10-pole pay-per-views would remain the same. So, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, I mean, they probably could get rid of Survivor Series and just call it WarGames. Honestly, I would not be shocked. But Royal Rumble, all that stuff would not change. Why the fuck would it? I mean, those pay-per-views have been around for decades. There's so much equity in those names. To change that would be completely ridiculous. Or as dumb as a lot of the decisions that Vince McMahon made while on top towards the end there. He never got rid of those shows. Survivor Series, he almost did. But the Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, he would probably never get rid of, if I had to take a guess. That should not change under TKO. It will not change under TKO. But just keep the pay-per-views that you have. I think, for the most part, a lot of their shows work. I would get rid of Money in the Bank as a pay-per-view concept. But it sells so well, and people look forward to the match being at the same time every year. I would put it back at WrestleMania, do the women's one on one night, the men's one on another. They clearly aren't going to do that. Money in the Bank is one of their bigger shows of the year, and it has been for a very long time. So that's kind of a lost cause. But the other shows just keep the same. You know, WrestlePalooza, who gives a shit? No one cares. Do less shows, and maybe these other shows will mean more, and the names of them largely will not matter. Focus more on your creative and less on the rebranding aspect of certain things. Fernando even said, were people complaining about the pay-per-view names? No, I don't think so. I'm not really sure why they even said that in that interview. Like, what would have necessitated that stupid-ass answer? Do I think TKO is the grapefruits to rename Mania? No, I mean, nor should they. I mean, WrestleMania is such a long-standing... Like, why would you rename WrestleMania? It has so much equity in it. To rename it would just be stupid. For what? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. You call it something else over Mania, it will not sell as well because people know WrestleMania. They don't know WrestlePalooza. They don't know, Sports Entertainment Mania. They know WrestleMania. They will never change WrestleMania. It's also been around for over 40 years. I would be completely stunned. They have done dumber things before, but I would be completely stunned if they ever were to do that. I want to give my thoughts real quick on the PWI 250 Women's Top 10 for 2025. This came out, I think, on Monday or Tuesday. I want to say Tuesday. With the complete 250, and as we've talked about before with Mr. Marceau for the men's, this is all kayfabe accomplishments. All they really go off of is championships won and matches won and lost. They don't go off of match quality. They don't go off of importance to that. I mean, I guess they kind of do. They've said that in their criteria before, but you look at this fucking list, this has very little to do with actual importance to the brand and, in-ring matches, and also specifically promo, ability to get over, storylines, character development. You look at this list, there is zero of that to be found on this list. Some of these I do agree with. I agree with, like, the top few I can understand. These other ones do not make any sense at all. So we'll start from 10, make our way to 1. This is what the PWI Women's 250 Top 10 looks like for 2025. Number 10, Rhea Ripley. Now, Rhea Ripley is easily the biggest female star in the world of wrestling. That includes AEW, that includes every other promotion. I know she didn't have the greatest year creatively. People got bored of her booking being in the women's title picture. But Rhea Ripley alone was involved in 2 of the best matches you will find in any fucking promotion, male or female, this year alone at WrestleMania and that triple threat, that amazing triple threat that kicked off night 2 of Mania 42. In the Evolution main event between her and Io Sky for the Women's World Championship, Rhea Ripley was only champion for about 2 months this year. That's all they really go off of. But it's not even as if she lost a lot of matches either. I mean, she did lose some matches. But she won a lot of matches as well. She won in her home country of Crown Jewel. I mean, I forgot. I think the criteria might be like September to December. Or December. I almost said December to December. I forgot when the criteria is. It might be from June to June. I know it is for the men. For the women, it might be August to August. Whatever. Rhea Ripley was not champion for most of that time. She was only champion for 2 months, from January on the Netflix premiere through March when she lost the belt to Io Sky. But Rhea Ripley, I mean, is obviously far more important than number 10. Naomi being 9 is nice to see. Naomi's had a great year since turning heel. Again, I'm not sure when the criteria period is, but Naomi in the last year has turned heel. She was also one half of the tag team champions for a few months with Bianca Belair, replacing Jade Cargill. But they were tag team champions for a few months. She had this great heel turn. Feuded with Jade Cargill for a few months, won Money in the Bank, cashed in successfully to become Women's World Champion, and had to give up the title because she got pregnant, obviously. But she did retain the championship in that triple threat at SummerSlam. So she overall had a great year. Did Naomi. I have no issue with her at number 9. Sari, I believe is how you pronounce her name, at number 8. She was formerly in NXT years ago. Legitimately, I don't remember what name they gave her because she was there for such a brief period. They ended up letting her go within like a matter of months. She was there when NXT was NXT, and then they rebranded it to NXT 2.0, and they gave her that stupid-ass fucking schoolgirl, like, anime character. It was just garbage. Absolutely awful. And she ended up leaving WWE soon after and going back to Japan. And from what I understand, she's had a great year. She might be the IWGP Women's Champion. I might be wrong on that, but I know overall she's had a good year from what I can understand, from what I've seen on Twitter. So I can't really argue with that one because from what I know, she has had a good year. She did pop up in Ring of Honor TV recently. I know that. She teamed with Alex Windsor and also defended the IWGP Women's Championship against Windsor on that show. That's probably how I remember she was champion. 7, Athena. I'm going to be honest. I like Athena. I think she's great. For her to be 7 to me makes no fucking sense. I mean, this is why it is proof that all they go off of is kayfabe accomplishments. Athena, you would have to put out a fucking SOS for on AEW television. I think I saw her face in the back of a milk carton. I mean, she's barely ever seen. I know she was on Dynamite a few weeks ago teaming with Mercedes. I think it was last week in the Women's Tag Team Title Tournament. She got pinned by Harley Cameron. She's defending the championship against Harley coming up on Ring of Honor TV in a few weeks, or at least they made the most of that. But, like, Athena's barely been on television. She was in the Women's Owen Hart Cup. Like, Ring of Honor, I'm sorry, does not fucking matter. It just doesn't. She's been champion for almost 3 years. Does it really fucking matter, though, when she barely defends the championship? And even when she does, no one's there to see it? She main evented, I think, Death Before Dishonor in the summer. I want to say against Marina Shirakawa. And they had a really good match. They also had a pay-per-view in September. I think July she faced Thunder Rosa. And then in September she faced Mina. 2 very good matches. But again, the run at this point is 3 years old. We're going to rush into the final battle, I'm sure, in a couple of weeks. And she might face Billy Starks again, who she already beat a fucking final battle 2 years in a row. I like Athena. I think she's great. But how can you put her at 7 when she's barely on anything of importance? I mean, even Saraya, not overall familiar with her accomplishments. I guarantee you whatever she's involved in her title run is far more significant than Athena's. She's held the belt for 1,000 days, but if no one's there to see it, who really gives a shit? You know what I'm saying? She's had some great matches this year. But come on, over Rhea Ripley and Naomi? Even give me a break. Io Sky being at 6 is also just a fucking disgrace. Io Sky has been one, if not the top women's wrestler in all of wrestling in 2025. She's had an excellent year. Mercedes Moné I'll get to. I think she's had a great year too. But Io Sky is super over. She's been involved in some fun feuds. She's had some great fucking matches this year. She's been a significant part of Raw all year long. She has been one of the building blocks of that show. One of the best parts of Raw. I can't say that for Mercedes Moné. I'll talk about why Mercedes is number 1, and I get it. But Mercedes has been honestly one of the weaker parts of Dynamite. In ring-wise, she's had some great matches. Her storylines have largely sucked. And her promos have not been great either. But this is why you know that they don't go off of storylines and promos and character development, because Mercedes has had none of that. Io Sky has had, maybe not turn face or heel or whatever, but she's had the whole storyline going all year long with Rhea Ripley, from opponents to friends, the Asuka storyline. They're a very good feud they've had in the last couple of months. She's feuded with Naomi over the Women's World Championship and winning that, losing it, come on. Io Sky at 6 is just fucking ridiculous. Stephanie Vaquer being 5, I can get that. Stephanie's had a great year. I would probably still put Io over Stephanie. But Stephanie had a great breakout year. She signed with WWE a year ago. But this year alone, she won the NXT Women's North American Championship back in February at Vengeance Day. Very quickly won the NXT Women's Championship from Giulia at Roadblock to become a dual champion. She then gave up the North American title, so she wasn't pinned for that. She retained the title a couple times in the months that followed before dropping it to JC Jane. Very abruptly called up to the Raw roster, was involved in Money in the Bank, won that Battle Royal at Evolution to earn a future title shot that she won at WrestlePalooza. She was off the show for a little bit, but she ended up appearing on WrestlePalooza, winning the Women's World Championship. She also won the fucking Crown Jewel Championship for whatever that's worth. And she's also been involved in some pretty great fucking matches this year. And she's gotten over too. So Stephanie being 5 makes sense. Tiffany being at 4, again, this is how you know they go off of kayfabe accomplishments only. Because Tiffany was unpinned for most of the year before she lost to Stephanie at Crown Jewel and before she recently lost the belt to Jade Cargill at Saturday night's main event. She had not been pinned, I don't think, all year. She won the belt at the beginning of the year. Tiffany's had a great year, but a lot of people would probably say it was not an overall great run because of her lack of character development. She turned babyface, but there really wasn't anything overly interesting about her as a character. I think Tiffany's great. I thought she had a great run as WWE Women's Champion. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that she was the best women's wrestler all year. Io Sky, Rhea Ripley were all more important. Even Naomi, I would say, were all more entertaining and important to their respective rosters than Tiffany was on SmackDown in 2025. She did beat Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, huge win there. She beat Trish Stratus at Evolution, huge win there. She beat Jade Cargill at SummerSlam. She beat Nia Jax God knows how many times. She had a lot of good matches this year. Did Tiffany Stratton. But she was also kind of boring as a babyface. Wasn't involved in a lot of great storylines. The Charlotte storyline was kind of a fucking mess. And she just recently dropped the championship. So again, I get why she is 4. I would still put some of these other women above her. Number 3, we have Saya Kamatani. I do not know who that is. I'm mispronouncing her name. I am sure. I apologize. I'm sure she's either from New Japan or a sister promotion, Stardom maybe. I am not familiar with her at all, so I can't even really speak on why she's 3 or how they got to that number. I have no thoughts on that. I'm sure it's well deserved though. Number 1 and 2. 2 is Timeless Toni Storm. Number 1 is Mercedes Moné. Now, honestly, I would probably go... I get why Mercedes is 1. Mercedes, this is easily the best year that Mercedes has had since... I'm not really sure. I mean, last year, I thought this year overall for Mercedes was better in AEW than last year. Last year, she had some... Honestly, the Britt Baker match sucked. And I thought the Sheeta match they had at All Out also sucked. And then she had those great matches with Chris Statlander at Full Gear and World's End, respectively. So she ended up having a pretty good year overall last year. She's been TBS champion all year. I don't think that's going to end before the year is over, but she will go down as having held the title all year. She just broke Jade Cargill's record. She's had a lot of great matches this year, honestly. The Timeless Toni Storm match at All In was great. She had that great match with Jamie Hayter at, what was it, Double or Nothing? She faced Jamie Hayter and retained the title. I don't think it was for the title, but it was the finals of the Owen Hart Cup. She had that great match with Athena on Dynamite. I thought that was an excellent match. The Harley Cameron match was good at the Grand Slam Australia show back in February. She's had a lot of great matches on TV with Alex Windsor, the four-way Forbidden Door, among other people. And, yeah, I think she just retained the title recently against Riho at the Wrestle Dream show. She's also been the CMLL Women's Champion. Now, like, the whole belt collector thing is why she's number 1. I get it. But when we go off of storylines and promos, she really hasn't blown me away in either department. She really hasn't had any great storylines. The Timeless Toni Storm one was kind of basic at best. Her matches are really what has made her number 1. So this is not like egregious that she's number 1. I get it. Because overall, she's had a great run as TBS champion. Way better than Jade Cargill's. Like, for the fact that she broke Jade's record doesn't bother me at all. Because she's had way better matches than Jade Cargill ever did as the TBS champion. She was also just involved in Blood and Guts this past week. Completely get why she's number 1. Toni Storm, I would probably put her over Mercedes. I just feel like she's more entertaining. She's been more important to AEW overall. She doesn't have 12 titles. Okay, who gives a shit? But the one championship she did hold, she held for a very long time. Toni was involved in one of the best women's matches this company's ever had. I like the Mercedes match at All In, but I think my favorite women's match from AEW this year was her and Mariah May, now Blake Monroe, at the Revolution pay-per-view, the ending, the beautiful ending, whatever the fuck it was called. I thought they had an excellent match on that show, and probably one of the best women's matches AEW's ever had. But she got the belt back in Australia. She retained against Blake Monroe. She beat Megan Bain at Dynasty to retain the championship. At Double or Nothing, I don't remember what she did on that show, if she was there at all. I think she just might have been scouting the finals of the Owen Hart Cup. But, you know, she beat Mercedes at All In, and then she obviously just lost the championship to Chris Statlander at, not Forbidden Door, but I think it was All Out or whatever. So, I think she's had an excellent year. You know, people are still super into the Timeless Toni Storm thing. Completely get it. I would still probably go with Toni Storm over Mercedes. I just feel like Toni's been more important to AEW, and she's just been a better part of AEW overall this year. But Mercedes, having held all these indie titles, is probably what made her number 1. And she's had some excellent matches, I get it. If she had some terrible matches, I'd probably have more of an issue with it. But I would make Toni Storm either number 1, put Io Sky at 2 or 3. I would also put Stephanie maybe at 4. I would put Tiffany a little bit lower. Rhea would have to be fucking higher. I mean, 10 is ridiculous. I'm sorry. So that being the top 10 makes total sense. Just based off accomplishments, although I would tweak it personally. Fernando said our storyline's supposed to be a part of the PWI top 250 list. No, but I think they should be. I would just go off of overall importance and not just fucking wins and losses. I mean, it's not 1985 anymore. It's all fake anyway, so who cares? I would go off of overall importance to the show, quality of matches, promos, storylines. If you're a champion all year, but you're never on the fucking show, then what does it even matter? You know, I mean, I know there is a threshold for the amount of matches you need to wrestle in a given year. I get that. But I would still probably differentiate that a little bit more. One woman you do not see on that top 10, which is completely unsurprising, is Giulia. She dropped the Women's United States Championship on SmackDown last week. We don't typically talk SmackDown here on the show, but I did think it was worth mentioning. Honestly, like, the way in which she lost cannot be seen as surprising at all. I mean, the booking of Giulia on SmackDown has been so fucking garbage pretty much since the moment she arrived, because even when she won the championship, she was barely on the show. You can't get a woman over if all she's ever relegated to is backstage segments. Her reign itself was a complete afterthought. I thought the stuff with Zelina Vega was good. They had some quality matches together. They worked well together. But she was barely on the fucking show. And SmackDown has the time. They focus a lot on Jade and Tiffany and some of the other women on that show. Where was the focus and emphasis on Giulia during that run? And I like Michin. And I think Michin and Giulia also could have been a fine feud. It made sense as a feud to do that for the Women's U.S. Championship. Michin's gotten 1,000 title shots. She has not won. She probably never will. But it's like, how do you expect people to care when you don't devote the creative time to getting these people over or giving their time in these matches? It's not even as if the storylines are awful, but they're going out there and having these banger matches. They're really not. I mean, the matches are short, quick, unimportant. Chelsea Green is over, so her getting the belt back doesn't bother me. But it really is an indictment on the booking that they have completely failed Giulia so far. She is not damaged goods. She can still bounce back. She'll be fine. But what's the answer? Does she move to Raw? Does she go back to NXT? She was just fucking there like 6 months ago, not even. So I would not put her back in NXT, but they got to really make an effort on SmackDown. Just improve the overall creative effort on SmackDown, which is just terrible right now. We talked about that a lot more with RJ last week here on the show. But for Giulia, it's not impossible. I do think there's a way out of this where she can still bounce back, improve herself as a top talent on that show, and eventually enter championship contention somewhere. But it's going to be difficult. To bounce back from that is going to be tough. But it starts with losing that championship, which was very clearly doing her no favors. Want to give some thoughts on being on Raw on Monday and also Blood and Guts before we get out of here. But I thought Raw on Monday, like I said earlier, it was a very strong show. I enjoyed it. It was a hot crowd. I mean, they really peaked during that opening segment with John Cena winning the Intercontinental Championship. Now, this was an impromptu match. Dominik confronted Cena and Triple H. Triple H, by the way, did not need to fucking be out there. I know they tried to make it a bigger deal, like, oh, Triple H is introducing John Cena. No, just hit the guy's music. It's not even his final Raw. It was his final Raw in Boston, but it was just not his final Raw. Just kind of felt to me like Triple H felt like he wanted to be out there. He doesn't need to be out there, but who gives a shit? Maybe he was just there to make the match official between Cena and Dom right away for the Intercontinental title, I guess. But the match itself, honestly, it was very basic. It was very much a house show style match, but it didn't matter. The crowd ate it up. The crowd went nuts when they announced the match. When Cena came out, they went nuts. When they announced the match, they went nuts. And when he won the championship, they went nuts. Am I a fan of the move? No. We have talked about this here on the show before. I am not a fan of Cena winning the Intercontinental Championship. Dominik Mysterio has been champion for 6 months. 7 months, actually. He won it back in late April. Almost 7 months. Now, there is no shame in losing to John Cena. But what's the end game here? First of all, him just becoming a Grand Slam champion. They made a big deal about that on social media within the last few days. Honestly, does anyone really care about that sort of stuff, though? Like, I typically do. Typically, I would care about the accomplishments and blah, 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 blah. But the John Cena character has never a single time in 23 years given a single fucking shit about the Intercontinental title. So why all of a sudden would he care about that IC title? It doesn't make any sense to me personally. It really doesn't. And what's the end game here? Does he lose it back to Dom on Raw next week? I would hope not. I feel like if they did that, that would just be stupid. At that point, you're just doing shit for moments, and it was a great moment. But if you're going to have him win the title, if he loses it this week, it should not be back to Dominik Mysterio. Dominik already had his running. God knows he beat fucking Penta, Rusev, and AJ Styles God knows how many times. Have him lose it to someone else, like someone new. Like, let's benefit the next generation here. The Cena run overall, I think, has been good. It's obviously has not been without its flaws. Zork, no, Mr. Marceau did not get fired. He is just not here today because he was actually here in the chat a little bit earlier on, but he is traveling. He is not here this week. He'll be back next week, but he did not get fired like he did over a decade ago. But anyway, back to the Cena Intercontinental Championship thing. I just don't love the idea of Cena winning the title. I just don't, because, like, where are we going with this? Does he lose it right away to like an NXT superstar or whatever it might be? I mean, maybe, but I also don't think if the idea is to have him lose it in his final match, and if his final opponent ends up being Gunther doesn't fucking need the Intercontinental Championship. He gains nothing from holding that belt again anytime soon. He had the greatest run of all time. He probably will hold that belt again, but for him to hold it anytime soon would just be a waste. I guess it would give him something to do, but there's plenty of other people on Raw right now that could use that belt over Gunther. Penta, any of the people that Dominik beat, really. But AJ, Penta, Rusev, like, even Finn Balor would make more sense. At least he's working with Dominik in the whole Judgment Day thing. Gunther winning, Gunther winning the belt to me would make no sense. It just really wouldn't make much of a difference. Now, Cena could still drop it before he gets to his last match. We have Raw on Monday. It's virtually guaranteed, confirmed, that he will be wrestling on that show. There is Survivor Series. I would rather have him in Blood and Guts. I would rather have him. Blood and Guts would be interesting. I would prefer to have him in WarGames. I don't think that's going to happen at this point. Doesn't look all that likely. But I don't know. It really all depends on where this is going for me to kind of fully form my thoughts on him winning the championship. Eric in the chat mentioned him winning it was to help the next generation. He helped Dom, who they believe is a top star. He will be a top star, but he also fucking won. It's not as if Dom beat him. You know what I'm saying? Like what I was going to say before. He's had a good overall retirement run this year, but it's not like he's really put over a whole lot of people. He's put over a lot of people over the years. And years past, he got pinned by Finn Balor in a 4-way match. He got beat by Shinsuke Nakamura. He got beat by Roman Reigns a few times when Roman Reigns was still on the ascent. He's put over a lot of people over the years. Who the fuck has he put over this year? Cody Rhodes is already the world champion of over a year. He actually beat Cody before he lost to Cody. He actually beat him first. So he didn't really, he did put over Cody. That was the least that he could do. Who else has he really put over this year? Jey Uso threw him out of the Royal Rumble. Okay. But John Cena then won Elimination Chamber. He won the title at WrestleMania in a fucking awful match. He then had a pretty lackluster championship run with some good matches against Randy Orton, CM Punk. The R-Truth matches were a complete waste of time. But then he lost it back to Cody Rhodes. Okay. He put over Brock Lesnar, who did not need it, which was just a complete waste. Who cares? He beat Logan Paul. Logan Paul did not need to be put over, but he beat Logan Paul. He beat AJ Styles. He's really working with a lot of people that are already established. He has not worked with the next generation at all. He hasn't really worked with a lot of fresh faces at all, which is why I think the idea, which I talked about on Tuesday's #AskGSM, of Sheamus winning the championship from Cena in his final match, I like it because it does give Sheamus the IC championship finally, which he will win at some other point. And it also falls on the exact 16-year anniversary of when he beat Cena, did Sheamus, to win his first WWE championship title at TLC 2009. But that night, that match is going to be all about Cena come December 13th, 2025 for his final match. I would not have Sheamus be the one to have, beat Cena in his final match. I also think Cena should lose his final match, personally. Having him lose to Sheamus would be fine, but again, who are we really benefiting? Gunther, even if he loses to Gunther doesn't really benefit all that much. He already retired Goldberg. He's already been world champion twice. Gunther doesn't really benefit all that much. But I'd rather have him lose to a newer person than someone that he's faced and lost to a million other times in the past. So, just my 2 cents on that. Someone from NXT could end up winning the tournament. I don't think that's going to happen. We know Javon Evans is in the tournament. He's facing Gunther, speaking of whom, next week in a quarterfinal match in the tournament. That's going to be fucking awesome. That alone will be worth the price of admission to Raw next week. So I'm looking forward to that. Solo's facing a mystery person. We're getting LA Knight versus a mystery person on SmackDown this week. I don't really have a whole lot of high hopes for either surprise, but hopefully it's someone from TNA like a Joe Hendry or a Jeff Hardy. Matt Cardona would be cool. They're in New York. I feel like the fact that Matt Cardona hasn't really said anything about being in the tournament tells me he probably will be in the tournament. Because why would he not be petitioning for it more? But yeah, I guess we'll see. I just don't really see what Cena winning the championship accomplishes, and unless he then loses it. Losing it back to Dom would be nice, but then having him beat Dom in the first place I think is just stupid for a week-long run, just to say that he held it. Who gives a shit? Who is he losing it to? There's Penta would be nice. Again, someone newer would be great, but I think this whole thing with Cena wanted to put over the next generation, he really hasn't. He's done a lot of great business. He's been involved in a lot of great matches this year. But it's not as if he's really helped the next generation at all. He shared the ring with Dom on Monday. Great. But he also fucking beat him. He beat him. Who else has he lost to this year that he really helped? He did not put Truth over, first of all. He did not put Truth over at all. He beat Truth in 4 minutes at Saturday Night's Main Event. And Truth was really more so buried by Triple H and the TKO regime when they brought him back, and they've done nothing with him since then. Logan Paul, he did not put over at all. Logan Paul was already over. He beat Logan Paul too. Didn't put him over. Ludwig Kaiser, I guess, but he's doing the whole solos. I see your solo comment. That's why I said solo. He's doing the whole Grande Americano thing right now. Probably not. Solo versus Zilla. LA versus Dominik Mysterio being the surprise opponent on Friday would be stupid. Why would he not just be outright announced? And Zilla, absolutely not. Zilla Fatu. Why would Zilla Fatu be in this fucking tournament to face John Cena in his final match? That would just be stupid. That would be stupid. It's got to be Obafemi. If it's a surprise, it's got to be someone from TNA. Any of the people I mentioned before. A Matt Cardona or a Nick Nemeth or whoever the fuck. Or an Obafemi. Those are really the only people that make sense. It will not be Jericho. It will not be Adam Copeland. So we can just move on from that. I'm not saying you guys are assuming that, but people still think that's a possibility, especially Adam Copeland. It is not fucking happening. So don't assume that it is. But also from Raw on Monday, we'll be getting out of here soon, so I'll wrap this up quickly. But Rusev beat Damian Priest in the last time is now tournament quarterfinal match. Good match. Crowd was quiet for, but a good match. Sheamus also went on to beat Shinsuke Nakamura in a quarterfinal match. That match was better, competitive, hard-hitting. I enjoyed it. We do not know who they will both be facing in the next round. A bracket has not been revealed, but we do know R-Truth will be in the tournament. Why? I mean, we've already seen Cena and Truth twice this year. We know Truth is not winning the tournament, but to even put him in it, I'm sorry, is a fucking waste of a spot. Truth is not winning. We've also already seen the match this year. That's a fucking waste. If you're going to put people that have already been in or have already faced Cena this year, put AJ in there. Put Orton in there. Maybe Orton is the mystery opponent next week on Raw. I don't know. Or on SmackDown this week. We'll find out. We also got a lot of WarGames developments on Monday night. We found out it will be Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk versus Breakker, Bronson Reed, and Logan Paul. They still have to fill out the teams. I mean, I would prefer if they just made it 4-on-4. To do 5-on-5 when it's not necessary, to me, is just forced. The whole match feels forced. Cody Rhodes even being in there is comical. I mean, he has no affiliation with any of these fucking people right now. He's friends with Jay. Cool. He's been friendly with Punk. Cool. He has no issues currently with Logan Paul, Breakker, or Bronson Reed. Why is he in this match? I know he saved them on Monday because he was in the building for Cena's final Raw. They established that, which at least they made sense of that as to why he would be on Raw. But still, brother, it's just, it feels forced. And I also saw from Meltzer, they are not planning on doing a star-studded babyface team. At least that would make somewhat sense. If they put Cena on the babyface team, and then Roman Reigns, Jay, Roman, Cody, Punk, and Cena is a star-studded fucking team. It just doesn't make any sense. That would at least be worth it, but I don't think they're doing that, though. Meltzer, I mean, take it for what it's worth. It's Dave Meltzer. It doesn't sound like they're going in that direction. LA Knight would make way more sense. He's been feuding with the Vision for God knows how long now. For him to not be in this match, that makes zero sense. Why the fuck would LA Knight not be in this match? He's been interacting with Punk and Jay in the Vision for months. Why would he not be in there? That's stupid. And on the heel team, if they still plug in Austin Theory, I swear to fucking God, who cares? Who gives a shit? They probably will. Come Monday's Raw, they'll probably have Theory out there. Again, who cares? Who cares about Austin Theory in 2025? I think the guy is good, but he is so beyond damaged and just hurt by the booking. It's going to take more than him aligning with the Vision, or what's left of it, to feel important again. And putting him right away in a Survivor Series main event is not going to make me give a shit about Austin Theory. And then there's Brock Lesnar. At least with Brock, that makes more sense because you got the Paul Heyman connection. I'm still not convinced that's the right call, but, whatever. I agree with Eric, though. He said I would rather have a traditional Survivor Series match, show this year, whatever he's talking about. I would agree. I think Survivor Series elimination matches for all of these matches would make more sense. Like this and the women's match. But even the women's match, honestly, I'm more excited for that one than I am for the men. Lash Legend just debuted, and she is going to find herself in a women's WarGames match. Good for her. She debuted on SmackDown last week. Her teaming with Nia Jax, despite the fact they were feuding on NXT 2-3 months ago, is pretty fucking dumb. Makes zero sense, but whatever. Nia Jax beat her a few months ago. They never went back to it. Again, okay, whatever. But at least that match makes more sense. It's the Kabuki Warriors, Nia and Lash, so far, versus Io, Rhea, Charlotte, and Alexa. It sucks that Bayley and Lyra got cut out. I mean, if AEW can do 6-on-6 and they can kind of tweak the rules a little bit, why not do 6-on-6 here? They could easily have Bayley and Lyra on the babyface team, along with the other ones, and then on the heel team, add in, Becky and Giulia. I don't know. None of these matches make sense anyway, so who gives a shit? I think there's a very good chance we end up with Becky on one team, and then either Maxine Dupree should not be in WarGames, but probably AJ Lee. That was the original rumor, was that AJ Lee would be in WarGames. I think Dave Meltzer nailed the lineup for WarGames. He may have said Bayley and Lyra instead of Charlotte and Alexa. I don't remember. I could see Jade being in there maybe because they're going to be feuding with Charlotte. She's going to be feuding with Charlotte and Alexa soon anyway. So perhaps. I don't know what that match ends up looking like officially, but I think AJ and Becky would make sense. Someone mentioned before, could we see Becky AJ Lee return on Monday and cost Becky the title? The Women's Intercontinental Championship. I could see it. Honestly, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. Would I do that? Probably no. It would be a nice push for Maxine Dupree. Does Maxine Dupree really need to be the Women's Intercontinental Champion? No, she doesn't. But I think it's an option. It wouldn't be awful. Let's see. Eric said for both the men and the women, just let Steph and Jade captain in their teams, I guess. But then you end up with the same issue that Crown Jewel did, where it's just like Raw and SmackDown. Like, what's the point of that? There's nothing to gain here. So, do I have any news on Jamie Hayter's injury from last night? I don't. I think there was an update from Fightful. I have not seen it. I would imagine she's fine. She's already been hurt enough, so hopefully she's not hurt again. That would be terrible. Fernando said, in honor of the anniversary of the passing of Eddie Guerrero, what are your top 5 best Eddie Guerrero matches and moments? Eddie was before my time, so I don't really have like a definitive, top 10 Eddie Guerrero matches or moments. I think him and Brock is probably up there from No Way Out 04 for the WWE Championship when he won the title. Honestly, any of the Ray matches, I think him and Ray at WrestleMania 21 is very underrated. They had a great series of matches in 05 before he turned heel. Did Eddie, but I thought their series of matches were good. Specifically, the Mania match before he turned, I thought was a great match. Him and Batista from No Mercy that year I've seen a few times because it was on Batista's DVD that I've seen several times, so I've seen that match a lot from No Mercy 05 for the World Heavyweight Championship. The JBL match was bloody when JBL beat him for the belt at Great American Bash 04. Great match. Some of the early 2000s matches with Edge, I think he worked with the 02. They had some good matches when he came back to the company. Any of the SmackDown 6 matches were great. So I guess those would be the top ones. Imagine if Jey Uso has seen his final opponent. I fucking hope not. I know he's in the tournament. That would be... I have no desire to see that whatsoever. Was Cena the world champion in 08? The world heavyweight champion, yes, if that's what you're talking about. He's been WWE champion multiple times, but he was the world heavyweight champion in 08. He won that belt at Survivor Series exactly 17 years ago. Maxine isn't ready yet for WarGames. I agree with that. The IWC would... I don't know if they would melt if Maxine won the belt on Monday. That would be a pretty big upset and a great moment for her. It just begs the question of what's next after that. And I don't really think they have a good answer for it, so therefore I would not do it. I know the Becky run should be all about elevating, like, who's next and whatever. I still would not do it personally, but that's just me. Yeah, also in Raw this week, I'll mention this before we head on out of here. Stephanie Vaquer retaining the Women's World Championship against Raquel Rodriguez. Good match, but it was all about the post-match heel turn from Nikki Bella. Now, Nikki Bella getting a title shot anytime soon would make zero sense because she has not won a match in months. Or at least a singles match anyway on television. I would hope she will start winning matches before she gets a title shot. Will WWE likely give her a shot anyway? Sure, because Stephanie got betrayed by her, and Stephanie might just want to face her because she has dumb babyface syndrome. But it makes sense. I mean, it's a logical feud to do because they've been aligned now for months. Nikki Bella's probably better as a heel. As long as they don't bring in Brie and bring back the whole, like, oh, loser. Like, that shit's fucking awful. That was when the Bella Twins were at their worst. Doing like, oh, you're a loser. Like, if she can really hone in on her heel work, no Team Bella bullshit. Like, just beat Nikki Bella on her own. I can't remember the last time she was a heel on her own, to be honest with you. I guess that would be 2014 when she turned on Brie. And that was awful because of the shit they gave her to do. So hopefully this is better. Stephanie can get a good match out of her. It's someone for her to beat with a name. I have no issue with it. I like the heel turn on Monday. I'm glad they pulled the trigger when they did and did not wait any longer than they did. And then the main event, I mentioned earlier, but the Kabuki Warriors knocked off Charlotte and Alexa to win the women's tag titles. In a quality match, and it set up women's war games, like I mentioned earlier. So I enjoyed Raw overall for Monday. I thought they did a good job with the show, and the crowd was white hot, too, for a lot of what we got. I mean, specifically the Cena stuff. The tournament matches, not so much. They definitely quieted down during the tournament matches. But like the Nikki Bella heel turn, they gave her good heat. The stuff at the end of the show they came alive for. The men's war game setup segment was great. William Regal's reaction, or the reaction to him in the back, was awesome. Being able to see that in person was wonderful, because I'm a big Regal mark, of course. And it was exactly 17 years to the day that he won the Intercontinental Championship on Raw in England, actually. Don't ask me how I remember that. I thought Raw was a good show on Monday. I think Raw and MSG has the potential to be as entertaining with the matches they have on tap, with Gunther taking on Javon Evans. That sounds fucking awesome. Solo facing whoever, not so much. But the surprise could be fun. I could see Jeff Hardy's music hitting the place going nuts. Matt Cardona would be cool. He'd probably fucking lose in a matter of minutes, but whatever. Solo advancing would be a disgrace, but again, whatever. So that's that. We also next week have Cena's final Raw appearance, period. And what else is next week? There's something else. Oh, Maxine and Becky for the Women's IC Championship. So it should be a good show. I'm looking forward to the show. Should be good. I could see Roman returning on that show. Maybe Brock to kind of fill out the men's War Games teams. We will soon see. Eric said he thought that she would have given Roxanne a title shot first. Well, she already beat Roxanne on Raw, so they don't really have to do that. And Fernando said, I think Nikki Bella should take Fatal Influence under her wing. It would be pretty interesting. Honestly, that's not a terrible decision. I mentioned earlier Nikki Bella should be on her own. Maybe it's not her just being on her own, but it's rather who she has with her. Brie is just awful, and Alicia Fox was awful too. But if she has Fatal Influence, who are they're a good group. They've improved. They were Toxic Attraction 2.0 for a long time. But I don't know if I'd hate that. I'm not sure if I'd hate that. Someone from the system, Eric said. I don't think that anyone from the system is going to pop up on Raw next Monday. I'd be kind of surprised. Millennial knew what's going on, brother. Last thing here, Blood and Guts from last night. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I want to give my quick thoughts in the show. I thought it was a very good show. They only had 3 matches. That's all they needed. They did have a quick one-off segment with FTR, kind of roughing up Ricky Steamboat before Brodito made the save. Ric Flair was advertised for the show. He did not appear. How many times has that been said over the course of Ric Flair's career? But to his credit, to my knowledge, he suffered a rotator cuff injury at some point within the last year, had surgery for it recently, was in a lot of pain, so he had to leave early on Wednesday. I think he was there. But he left before the segment could happen. So he was not out there. No complaints. I do not need to see Ric Flair on television. I am not complaining about that at all. But what we did get from FTR, Brodito, and Ricky Steamboat was good. I enjoyed it. Went on a little long, but it was good. The Blood and Guts matches were also very long. It was the typical plunder. What can you say? It's Blood and Guts. They delivered on the stipulation. 2 quality matches. I don't know if they'll go down as classics to me. The men's match this year kind of felt like a waste of time, like fucking Wheeler, Yuta, and who else? I mean, fucking, Orange Cassidy makes sense. But like the conglomeration, okay, like whatever. But that to me wasn't really War Games, Blood and Guts worthy. But it was still a quality main event, and I thought overall, Kyle O'Reilly being the one to beat Jon Moxley was great. Now, the only thing they can do from here to make the Death Riders remotely bearable is to have Moxley get kicked out of the group. Ideally, you just end the group, period. I mean, they lost again on Wednesday. How can you justify keeping the group going? You can't. The group sucks. But at the very least, I would just kick him out of the group. Jon Moxley, he's lost so much in the last few weeks, the last few months, really, that he really should lose, really should get exiled. That's the only solution here to this War Game situation, or with the Death Rider situation. I mean, how else could you really salvage the stable? You can't. I mean, it's just dead in the water. But the match itself was good. And the women's match, that was better. To answer the question from earlier, I would have ended the show with the women's War Games match. I thought that had more going for it. I thought it was the better match, told a better story, had a great finish. A lot going on there with a lot of women involved, a lot of fucking blood and guts and plunder and all this other nonsense. But again, they delivered on the stipulation, so I can't really complain on that. Nathaniel said, Nathaniel, what's going on as we wind down here? He said, I think FTR has a great chance next weekend, and MJF should return next Saturday. I agree on both. I could see both of those things happening. Noob said Mercedes Moné in that Blood and Guts match was very uncomfortable for her. I mean, out of the 4 horsewomen, the 3 members competed in WarGames matches, whereas Mercedes Moné can't survive. I thought she held her own. I don't really care to see Moné in WarGames or Blood and Guts, but, I thought she had a fine showing. She wasn't really a highlight at all for me, but she was in there, and she had all of her fucking melts at ringside, as she normally does. For those that give a shit about that sort of thing. Maybe because she doesn't like the sight of blood and violence, Noob said. I doubt it. I just didn't really think her character had much to do in that match. She doesn't really get bloody often, does Mercedes, in these matches. I don't really think she needs to. She probably just wanted to be involved to say that she was involved and make more history, which I completely understand. Did she need to be in there? No. I thought the stuff with Chris Statlander and Mercedes Moné didn't really need to happen ahead of their Full Gear match, but it did help hype that match. Let's see. Nathaniel said, would I want Becky versus Stephanie at WrestleMania? I'd be cool with that. I think we get Stephanie and Rhea Ripley. That's my Mania match for the Women's World Championship. That is what I foresee happening. And the last thing from Blood and Guts I forgot to mention, Adam Page beat Powerhouse Hobbs in a Falls Count Anywhere match. I thought that was a great match, honestly. I enjoyed that more than the Blood and Guts matches. They took a lot of risks. Crowd might have been more into it. It was shorter. Right outcome, of course. Helped build towards Page and Samoa Joe in a steel cage match they announced for the AEW World Championship at Full Gear. The cage stipulation means nothing, especially coming off the fucking Blood and Guts. But, they're adding a step, so it's not just another straightforward singles match. That's fine. They also announced Page and Katsuyori Shibata one-on-one for next week's Dynamite/Collision next Wednesday. So, I thought overall Blood and Guts was very good. Very good show. No filler. Long matches. I don't think the show needed to be 2.5 hours, but that's just me. Felt every minute of it. The matches do not need to be fucking 40, 50 minutes, but again, whatever. I thought overall it was a very good show, and I enjoyed it, and it was exactly what it needed to be. As we wind down here, last comment here from New. Maybe WWE should have the women main event WarGames in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I would do that. Will they? No, they will not. If you have Cody Rhodes and CM Punk and The Vision and all these other people, a lot of big names in that men's WarGames match, and those are just the names that we know, there is probably a 5% chance, max, of the women main eventing that show. I mean, are you really going to put, and no disrespect, I think the women's match honestly makes more storyline sense. The men's match is random as fuck. And the men's WarGames matches are actually usually better than the women's. But that's because they usually have better story and whatnot. Hopefully the women's match this year is not just all plunder as it normally is. It's just it gets old after a while and no one cares. And last year's match sucked. It was a mess. But no disrespect. Do you think they're going to put Lash Legend in the main event of Survivor Series over CM Punk and Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, Braun Breaker, Logan Paul, especially if Roman and Brock might be involved? There is minimal chance of that happening. So, that is what I got to say on that. We will give our Survivor Series predictions coming up in 2 weeks here. I still do not know when we will go live during Thanksgiving week. It might be the day before, day after. We might record it on Wednesday, have it go up on Thursday. It will probably be live on Wednesday, if I had to take a guess. But keep an eye out for that coming up in the next few weeks here on WrestleRant Radio. We will be back here live next Thursday. Mr. Marceau will be back. He should be anyway, live, as he comes off his trip from Louisville. His birthday is on Sunday, so happy birthday to Mr. Marceau. I will be seeing him then. And we'll have plenty more to discuss here on the show next week. I'll probably get Full Gear predictions coming into Saturday's show. At which I'm hoping to attend, but that remains to be seen. I'm not sure still if I'm going to be there next Saturday for Full Gear, but I hope to be. And that's about it. So, again, thank you guys for watching live or after the fact. I appreciate it. Bit of a shorter show than usual, but that's totally fine. Not that much shorter. It's actually probably around the same length that we normally go. I was going to go shorter today, but there was just a lot to talk about. Last few things here before we wind down. New episodes of the show, find them every single Thursday right here on the YouTube channel in video form, also in audio form on WrestleRant.com, WrestleRantRadio.com, and all major podcast platforms. Shout out to our channel members, Alexis, Miss Mon Matthews, Mrs. Renee, DJ Swerve 1, Mr. Marceau, John Ritland, Richie, and Average Grunt. More information on WrestleRant All Access Pass channel memberships down below. For shout outs at the beginning and end of every single live stream that we do. You also get early and ad-free access to certain videos, badges, and emojis in the live chats, and so much more. More information on that down below. And like I mentioned earlier, we have Black Friday coming up in a few short weeks. Check out our store at prowrestlingtees.com/WrestleRant. Link also available down below in the description box. You can get that fine shirt. That's the Halloween shirt. I should probably have a picture of the Christmas shirt here. But that's the Halloween shirt available right now on the website. We also have a regular WrestleRant shirt that the winners of the annual Royal Rumble game win. If you win either the pool for the men's Rumble or the women's Rumble. And we also have a Christmas shirt available as well. So check out the shirts available right now at prowrestlingtees.com/WrestleRant. And like I mentioned earlier, we should have a deal going up. Not me personally, but Pro Wrestling Tees itself. Get it on a deal as we get closer to the holiday. And I think that's about it. I did mention last week, worth mentioning again, as we get closer to December, I will remind you guys, we will be doing the Year in Review Awards for WWE and AEW right here in WrestleRant Radio for the first time live ever on YouTube, first time live in general in well over a decade. We're going to be doing that on the show coming up at the end of December, but the polls for the Year in Review Awards, I'll put the link here in the videos as we get closer. I don't have the polls up yet. I haven't even made the polls yet, but I will make the polls, and you guys can vote. You can vote in said polls starting early December is when the polls will open for what you guys can vote in the best and worst and everything else in between for WWE and AEW in 2025. The polls will be available on WrestleRant.com, and I will include the link to the polls on the homepage of the website, but also here on these episodes and on these videos as we get closer to December. With all of that being said, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, be sure to like the video on the way out. All that support is greatly appreciated. Subscribe as well. That would also be greatly appreciated. And that's really about it. So have an awesome one, folks. Again, happy early birthday to Mr. Marceau, who will be celebrating on Sunday with yours truly, among others. So we look forward to that. Have a great rest of your week. I think we're good on the chat as well. Eric's last comment here, he said, what do you think Liv does for Mania? I say her versus Roxanne for the women's IC title. I could see that. I don't think that's going to happen. Would it be a nice match to do? For sure. Do I think they'll end up in a singles match? No. I think it's more likely we get a tag team match with Liv at Mania. Again, I would not do that. Liv deserves better than that after the few years that she's had at Mania of only ever being in tag team matches, but that's my prediction. Liv and Roxanne one-on-one would be ideal, though. We will soon see come WrestleMania season. So until next time, guys, have an awesome one. Enjoy the rest of your week as we get closer and closer to Thanksgiving. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road. Peace.
Join Graham GSM Matthews and RJ Marceau every Thursday as they run down their weekly wrestling rants, offer expert analysis, host exclusive interviews, and more. Subscribe today on all your favorite podcast platforms and never miss an episode of WrestleRant Radio.